Welcome back to our deep dive into Dante's Inferno,
Always a pleasure.
picking up where we left off in Canto X.
You're ready.
And it all starts with these lines. Now, by a secret pathway we proceed, between the walls that hem the region round and the tormented souls. My master first, I close behind his steps. I love how those opening lines immediately create this sense of confinement, right?
Absolutely. Like we're moving from the open, chaotic landscape of the upper circles into something much more constricted.
Totally. Like the air's getting thicker the deeper they go.
And the silence is deafening, isn't it? After all that noise at the gate, this eerie quiet is even more unsettling.
Right. It's like the calm before the storm.
And that storm is brewing in the sixth circle, where the heretics are punished.
Heretics. So we're not talking about just any sinners here.
No, heresy in Dante's world is a direct challenge to the established order.
A rejection of divine authority. So what's their punishment? What makes this circle of hell unique?
Well, Dante describes them as being entombed in fiery graves, forever burning.
Burning. But doesn't everyone in hell burn?
True, but it's the symbolism of the tombs that's key here. By denying the immortality of the soul, these heretics are condemned to an eternity trapped in these stone boxes.
So it's like their own beliefs become their prison, even in death.
Precisely.
And I guess one of the most striking examples of this is our first encounter in the sixth circle.
Who's that?
None other than Farinata degli Uberti.
Oh, Farinata. Now he's a fascinating figure.
He's not just some random heretic, is he?
Not at all. He was a prominent leader in Florence, a military strategist, a powerful figure in the city's history.
And a Ghibelline, which is significant because...
Dante himself was a Guelph.
Right. So we have these two figures from opposing sides of a bitter political conflict meeting in the afterlife.
Talk about a charged encounter.
It's like Dante's own personal history is colliding with his journey through hell.
And that tension is palpable in their conversation.
They clash over Florentine politics, each defending their side with the same passion they displayed in life.
Even in the face of eternal damnation, these earthly allegiances don't simply vanish.
It's like proof that some things run deeper than even death itself.
And yet there's also this unexpected twist.
What's that?
Farinata reveals that he actually saved Florence from destruction at one point. It's a moment that complicates our understanding of him.
He's not just a villain, a one-dimensional representation of evil.
He's a man of contradictions, capable of both great acts and cruelty and moments of genuine nobility.
It makes you wonder what might have been if they'd met under different circumstances.
Right. Could they have found common ground? Or were they destined to be enemies?
But instead, they're trapped in this eternal standoff, forever bound by their past conflicts.
It's a stark reminder that our choices have consequences that extend far beyond our mortal lives.
And speaking of consequences, Farinata also has this unsettling ability to see the future.
He even predicts Dante's own exile from Florence.
Which, for those keeping score at home, has already happened.
It raises some intriguing questions about the nature of free will, doesn't it?
If the damned can see the future, are they then trapped by fate?
It's a question that Dante grapples with throughout the Inferno.
And one that still resonates with us today. How much control do we really have over our own destinies?
It's a big question.
And there's another layer to this whole knowledge in the afterlife thing, isn't there? Farinata can see the future, but he's completely blind to the present.
Oh, that's right.
It's like he's trapped in this perpetual state of anticipation, never able to fully grasp what's happening right in front of him.
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it?
It highlights the fragmented, incomplete nature of knowledge, even in the afterlife.
And in a way, that's its own kind of punishment.
Right. To be aware of everything except the present moment.
To be forever looking ahead, never able to fully experience the now.
It's a pretty bleak thought.
But it's also a powerful reminder to cherish the present moment, to appreciate the fleeting beauty of life.
Well, we still can.
Exactly.
So we have this tense exchange between Dante and Farinata, full of political tension, prophetic visions, and this exploration of the nature of knowledge.
But then things take a very emotional turn with the appearance of another soul.
Oh, who's that?
Cavalcante de Cavalcanti, the father of Dante's friend Guido Cavalcanti.
Right, Guido. His appearance shifts the focus from political conflict to something much more personal.
The power of paternal love.
He emerges from a neighboring tomb, drawn by the sound of Dante's Florentine accent.
Imagine that even in hell, the sound of home can evoke such a powerful emotional response.
It's heartbreaking because Cavalcanti is desperate for news of his son.
He's hoping Dante can tell him if Guido is still alive.
And this is where things get really tragic. Cavalcanti misinterprets Dante's words, leading him to believe that Guido is dead. It's a gut-wrenching scene. You see Cavalcante's hope turn to utter despair as he collapses back into his tomb.
And the contrast between his emotional vulnerability and Farinata's stoic indifference is striking.
It really highlights the isolation and lack of empathy that permeates this circle of hell.
Even in shared suffering, these souls are ultimately alone, unable to offer each other comfort or solace.
It's a chilling reminder of the true nature of damnation. So we've got political intrigue, prophecies, paternal love, at the ever-present question of knowledge in the afterlife.
And we haven't even scratched the surface of Canto X.
This deep dive is proving to be quite a journey, wouldn't you say?
Indeed, Dante's Inferno is a work of incredible depth and complexity, and each canto offers new layers of meaning to explore.
Well, I think we need to take a moment to gather our thoughts before we delve even deeper into the sixth circle.
That scene with Cavalcante, man, it just stays with you, doesn't it?
It really does.
So much raw emotion.
And it makes you think about the nature of suffering in hell, you know?
Is it just the physical torment, or is there also this deep emotional anguish?
And it connects back to what we were saying earlier about the tombs.
How they represent the heretics' spiritual isolation?
Exactly. They're physically separated, but it seems like there's also this emotional barrier between them.
This inability to truly connect or empathize.
Even though they're united in their punishment, they're each trapped in their own private hell.
It's a chilling thought.
And it's not just the heretics who are subject to this isolation.
You're right. Remember those demons at the gate? They completely shut Virgil out.
They refuse to even acknowledge him,
It's like the very structure of hell prevents genuine communication.
which makes Dante's journey all the more remarkable, don't you think?
Absolutely. He's able to converse with these souls to hear their stories,
He's like a journalist venturing into a forbidden zone.
bringing back firsthand accounts of a world most people can only imagine,
And he's not just passively observing, he's actively engaging with these figures.
challenging their ideas, questioning their motives.
Which brings us back to Cavalcante and that heartbreaking moment of miscommunication.
When Dante realizes his words have caused Cavalcante so much pain.
It's a powerful moment of empathy, speaks to Dante's own humanity.
You know, it's interesting that Cavalcante's question about his son, whether he's saved or damned, it's something Dante himself is grappling with throughout the Inferno.
Totally. He's on this journey to understand the nature of sin and salvation, but he's constantly running up against the limits of his own knowledge.
Which leads to one of the most profound moments in Canto X, I think.
What's that?
Dante's question about those who lived virtuous lives but died before they could be baptized.
Right? Like Virgil himself.
Are they condemned to hell simply because of a technicality?
It's a question that cuts to the heart of Dante's own anxieties.
He was exiled from Florence, denied the sacraments of the church.
So he's wondering, is he destined for the same fate as these unbaptized souls?
And it's a question that even Virgil can't fully answer.
Which must have been unsettling for Dante, considering Virgil has been his guide this whole time.
He explains that the mysteries of God's justice are beyond human comprehension.
It's a pretty humbling realization.
Dante's starting to understand that there are some things that even the wisest of poets can't fully grasp.
It's a moment of both intellectual humility and spiritual awakening.
He's realizing that faith requires a leap beyond reason, a trust in something larger than himself.
It's a theme that I think will continue to develop as he ventures deeper into hell.
Oh, absolutely. He'll encounter more and more souls whose fates challenge his understanding of justice and mercy.
Canto X really is a roller coaster, isn't it?
We've got political debates, prophetic visions, paternal heartbreak, and this profound question about the limits of human knowledge.
And we haven't even talked about the unnamed soul who overhears Dante's conversation with Farinata.
Oh yeah, that's another fascinating encounter.
What makes this one stand out?
Well, for one thing, this soul doesn't reveal their name,
Intriguing.
and they don't engage in a debate or offer any pronouncements.
So what do?
They simply ask a question.
What kind of question?
They ask Dante if those he's speaking with, specifically those from his city, are truly as wise as they claim to be.
That's a loaded question.
It is. It's like they're questioning the very nature of wisdom and knowledge within hell.
And how does Dante respond?
He's a little taken aback at first,
I can imagine. It's not every day you get interrogated by a soul in hell.
but then he gathers his thoughts and offers a pretty insightful response.
Does he say?
He acknowledges that figures like Farinata do possess a certain kind of wisdom.
Like their knowledge of the past and the future.
Exactly. But he also points out a crucial flaw in their understanding.
What's that?
They can see across time, but they're blind to the present moment.
Ah, so their wisdom is incomplete.
It's distorted by their inability to grasp the unfolding of reality.
It's like having all the pieces of a puzzle, but not knowing how to put them together.
A perfect analogy. It's not just about what you know, but how you know it.
and how that knowledge shapes your understanding of the world.
Precisely.
So this encounter with the unnamed soul is a real turning point for Dante.
It forces him to step outside his own perspective and consider the limitations of even the most learned fires in hell.
It's a reminder that true wisdom involves more than just accumulating facts or mastering arcane knowledge.
It requires humility, empathy, and a willingness to engage with different perspectives.
I think that's a valuable lesson for all of us, not just those journeying through hell.
I agree.
This deep dive into Canto X has been incredibly enlightening. It's amazing how much Dante packs into each one.
It's a testament to his genius.
And as we wrap up this part of our exploration, I'm left with one final question.
What's that?
If even the wisest souls in hell can be blinded by their own knowledge, how can we, the living, navigate the complexities of our own world with clarity and compassion?
It's a question worth pondering.
It's something for all of us to think about as we continue our journey through Dante's Inferno.
You know, as we've been talking about these different encounters, I keep thinking about how Dante uses the landscape of hell to reflect the sins being punished.
Like we said, those fiery tombs really drive home the idea of the heretic's spiritual isolation.
But I think there's even more to it than that. Think about the sixth circle as a whole. It's not just a place of fire, it's a place of intense confinement.
You really get that sense of claustrophobia.
And I think that feeling of being boxed in mirrors the heretic's own rigid beliefs, you know? They're so convinced of their own rightness that they've closed themselves off to any possibility of change or redemption.
Which is kind of ironic considering they're literally surrounded by fire.
Right. Fire is often a symbol of transformation and purification.
But it seems like these souls are immune to its effects.
It's as if their pride, their intellectual arrogance, acts as a kind of heat shield, protecting them from the very flames that are meant to consume them.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
And it makes you think about how our own beliefs, our own convictions can sometimes become prisons of our own making.
It's a cautionary tale for sure.
Dante's reminding us that true wisdom involves more than just clinging to our own ideas no matter how strongly we hold them.
It's about being open to new perspectives, willing to question even our most cherished beliefs.
And that's a hard lesson to learn, especially in a world where everyone's shouting their opinions from the rooftops.
It's easy to get caught up in the noise and forget to listen.
But listening is essential for growth, both intellectually and spiritually.
This deep dive into Canto X has been a real journey, hasn't it? Explored these complex themes about the nature of knowledge, the limits of human reason, the nature of sin and punishment.
And through it all, Dante's Inferno continues to challenge us, provoke us.
It forces us to confront these big questions about what it means to be human. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into Canto X.
It's been a pleasure as always.
For those of you listening, we encourage you to keep exploring Dante's Inferno.
It's a work that has so much to offer.
Dive into its rich language, its complex characters, its profound themes.
Allow yourself to be challenged by it, transformed by it.
It's a journey that will take you to the depths of human experience, but ultimately lead you back to yourself with a deeper understanding of who you are and what it means to be human.
Until next time, keep diving deep.